Hi, I'm back with you today talking about the goal of yoga. So, I'm Tess, and we're going to be diving a little bit into um, a very subjective understanding because obviously the goal of yoga is different for everybody that practices yoga. So, from a Western perspective, or like a newer yogic perspective, it can be very much about our flexibility and our physical body health, and becoming having less pain in the body, building strength in our muscles, activating and being more in our bodies. It can also be about relaxing. These are all benefits that yoga is offering to people, and the attractive goal for people in Western. So, through our asana practice, through our Rajasasana practice, we can strengthen areas of our body that have not previously been used or accessed in our day-to-day life. So some of the folds and the bends are just really something that you wouldn't do every day. So when we get to a certain age, they can be painful. And when we start to do them, over time, we find that the rest of our body becomes less painful in our regular life. So this is something that we know through nutrition and through health, is that when we are physically active on a day-to-day basis, our body is more responsive, is healthier in that it's less painful. So it's more comfortable to be us. And this is obviously such an important benefit of yoga, especially for older generations or people that have lost touch with their physical, health. The flexibility and the strength, lending towards being more comfortable. So something else that we're seeing is as for our flexibility and for even the trend of yoga. So for beauty, for becoming more beautiful in our day-to-day lives. So yoga is seen as a very beautiful activity. That's one of the reasons it's so attractive to women right now, is because of the grace, the flexibility, the almost dance-like mystical allure of these beautiful postures, as well for men. Like the form of the body is poetic in many of the postures that we practice in yoga. So for some people, the goal might be this beauty aspect, this trendy, beautiful aspect, or this physicality aspect. Yoga can, when we become more advanced in our yoga practice, yoga can become a goal-oriented ambition for overachievers, really. When we start looking at, our crow variations, our handstand variations, some of our like full extensions of our locusts and our cobra twos, right? So some of these poses become totally, even something as simple as a full lotus, or placing our hands behind our back, right? These inaccessible moves for regular people that only become accessible through yoga and doing yoga all the time. And that in itself becomes a goal. Now, when we go to the traditional value of yoga and from the philosophic perspective, all of these things have something in common. And they add, and almost all goals will do this, but they add a value to our life, and that value is living better, living in a healthier, stronger body. In yoga, through the philosophic side of it. So if you were to completely get rid of the asana side of yoga and you were to only focus on the meditation and the tapas and the ideology, it's about being healthy. But it's more than about being healthy. It's about being happy, about being relaxed, about being easygoing, about finding mental clarity. It's about finding comfort. And it's about becoming and being the best you that you can possibly be in this human form. So our karma yoga, which is as much an important branch of yoga as asana, our rajas. So we've got our rajas, our like our asana, our rajas, our ganas, our intellectual, our bhakti, our devotional, and our karma, or our helping people. And so what we see is that through the philosophy of yoga, it's really all about coming into a place where we are humanitarianly looking after ourselves and our own body and the bodies of those around us. We're looking after the health of ourselves, but the health of the universe, the health of each other. We're looking at the health of and developing that health so that we can be comfortable, so that we can reach eventually our moksha, which is this space or this nirvana. And nirvana and moksha have very similar meanings, but essentially it is when we come to the point of exiting the cycle of suffering. So through our development of yoga, both philosophic and physical, we've come to a point where we're no longer in any sort of pain. And this is the goal of yoga, is to exit cycle of, and in traditional philosophy, it's to exit the cycle of life, of living and dying. So you're no longer you're no longer concerned with desire, because there's nothing left to desire, because you have come to a state of contentment, perfect contentment. You're perfectly content in your body. You're perfectly content with what you have. You're perfectly content with your relationships, with your financial need, with your physical need, with your beauty, with your aestheticism. You're perfectly content with the world around you. There is nothing more to accomplish. You've done it all. This is this moksha. Now, in the Western tradition, it's a little bit more that you no longer have anything to do. I think that our society now would look at it as more as you have everything you need. I think that this would be a more relevant moksha for most people, is to see it as reaching a state of there's nothing more to get. There's nothing more. My body is comfortable. I'm fed. I'm watered. Everything. I have good relationships with my family, good relationships with my friends, and I'm happy with my skills, I'm happy with my talents, I'm happy with my work, I'm happy with my financial situation. Everything that around me is happy. My mind is at ease, my heart is at ease, my life is at ease, I'm not living in fear. And this would be this moksha, this enlightenment. Enlightenment is really, when we talk about enlightenment, we're talking about, again, this space of no need. Many people in Western society see enlightenment as being more from a space where we can give direction to the path. So we are knowledgeable in our field. We have reached an epiphany of understanding. We are resonating at a core level so that we can manifest and create all of these things that we need, because we have deep down within ourselves, whether consciously or subconsciously, the information that is necessary to reach that moksha, that nirvana, that, perfected need notness. I think that in Western society that might also be synonymous with fullness. So we're having everything. In traditional Eastern or Indian tradition, or Buddhism and Hinduism and Jainism and Sikhism, it's seen as a fullness where we are not attached to anything. We don't need anything. So there's no need for physical anything. We can go out into the forest and be perfectly content. Whereas I think the Western, and as we attempt to adopt that thinking in Western culture, we're also quite, we understand the necessity of material well-being, and find that we are more comfortable, we are more happy, we are more cared for when we have that access to those things. And so perhaps a evolution of this thinking is to be able to have access to all of these things to a point where you can comfortably let them go and not have fear of having access to them again, because you know that if you need them, they will be there. So you can comfortably let them leave you without feeling threat of them being gone completely or entirely. So it's this fearlessness, and this fearlessness can very much come from our deeper understanding of who we really are, of what we really are as human beings, as a part of nature, as beings on this planet, as an ecosystem that functions and moves and changes and transforms regardless of what happens to us, and our part within that, and our comfort in knowing that, we become the ocean, we become the sky, and we started as those things, and we are not caught in our own drama anymore, because our own drama is no longer, because of the perspective and the grandeur of what and who we really are at a deeper level. We can basically laugh at our own dramas because they are no longer so massive. We can stop obsessing about, the color of our polka dots, because it doesn't matter. Our ego is no longer stuck in those details, because it is coming from a much further perspective where we're worried about the change of mountains and, the precession of stars. And even that becomes steady enough that it too is something that we can relax about. So within all of this, we find our nirvana and our moksha, and these things come from finding this balance of happiness. And that's something that we really focus on in yoga as well, is finding balance. So, with our headstands even. So from even a metaphorical instance. So one of the things that we find in yoga is the metaphor of our asanas as being, so all of the animal poses, when the metaphor that we're supposed to be connecting with is that in other lives, in other existences, in other forms, the water within me has been a turtle. has been a dolphin, has been a cat, has been a dog, has been an alligator, right? A fish. Like, I have been all of these things. And I am all of these things and will be all of these things. So through the metaphor, we're supposed to connect with them. But then again, so with balance, we find the metaphor of, our headstands and our handstands and, our footstands. And we become very content when we can find that balance, because then we can find it in other places in our life as well. And this is something that is within this goal, because it is through finding this balance that we have access to the moksha. So first we master our balance, our flexibility, our strength, and our breath. And through this understanding and understanding the noble truths, we find our goal of yoga and our relaxation and our comfort within our being. So we also have something called samadhi, which is for our meditation. And our samadhi is when we become so involved in our meditation that we become the meditation. And this is when you are deep within your meditation enough that you are no longer trying to meditate. So this is when you're deep enough in your yoga practice that you're no longer trying to get that pose. You have the pose. The pose is so deeply ingrained within you. The meditation is so deeply ingrained within you that you can instantly go there, you instantly hold it, and you are able to relax and stay there and sustain it comfortably without attempting to. It is a part of you. Even when you're not meditating, it's a part of you that you can go back to and stay within. So this is another goal of our meditation, that we can find this and we can hold this. And this development happens when we are bringing ourselves to meditate on a daily, at first, meditation can be hard. We go in, we have to really talk ourselves into doing it, and eventually it becomes easier and easier and easier, like all things. So a real goal is to be meditating for an hour or 3 a day, and to be able to sit in that meditation for 3 hours and feel no desire to exit that space. There's no, oh, what about my science project? Oh, what about that thing Carla said? Oh, what about this, right? So we're not having all these thoughts, all this egoic, life-based information coming at us from within us. We're simply within this space of clarity, of peace. We are at peace. We are at ease. We are relaxed. We are not needing. That is the space. That is the goal. As well, in yoga, we find the development of traits which are beneficial to both our own lives, the lives of others, and the overall evolution and development of human beings. So sharing, compassion, we find determination, we find commitment, we find honesty, we find dedication, hard work. We find peace. We find the ability to work well with others, but then to also look past ourselves. So to find humility, to find humbleness. And these traits that we find in other religions are also present in yoga. And now what's really, really beautiful about them is that we don't have a lot of teaching about, what particular traits we should be focusing on. Instead, we really leave it up to meditating on what we are to give us these answers of what we should be. And what is said is that when you truly are reaching these states of consciousness, this direction will come from the inner guru. The inner guru will come and direct you into what it is that you need to become and to do in order to fulfill yourself and to exit this cycle of suffering. So that is the goal ultimately, is to rid the body of suffering, to reach the moksha. And our inner guru, when we meditate, will come forward and give us that direction of how we can do that, what it is that we need to be doing and practicing and saying, and growing, cultivating within ourselves, so that we no longer are afflicted by, the need to steal, or the need to insult, or to put others down, or to be hurtful or greedy, or prideful or overconsumptive. These things naturally fall off. It is so obvious to us that we should stop these things when we are reaching these higher states of consciousness within the meditation of who am I, and the samadhi. And it's really within the samadhi that our subconscious receives these downloads. Even if we don't get those downloads consciously, it's our subconscious, our deeper knowing, that is receiving that information. So one of the things that we also see happen when people are within this samadhi, this goal of yoga, is this worship of higher selves. So tapas and worship of the divine, or bhakti, is something that happens in yoga. And the reason that this is important is because, and we start to realize it within the samadhi, within this meditation, we start to connect with the fact that these higher realms, these higher beings, these gods that we are worshiping through our bhakti, through our dances, through our prayers, through our tapas, through our prasad, they are truly ourselves at our highest level. They are the universe within a grain of sand. They are all things contained within an idea, and it is that allness in its completion that we are interested in attaining, because we know that that allness contained is also at that point of non-suffering. And we look towards it as the direction, and we praise it as we hope that it will share its secrets to us so that we can walk our path towards it fully. And one of the things that they teach us and that we can know is that we have access to that direction at all times, that fullness has already been completed, and surely, perhaps not in our own lifetime, but in our evolution, we will get there. And we will become that, whether we try or not, because we will be reborn into lifetimes where we do try, and we will be reborn into lifetimes where it's already completed. So whether we are putting in the effort or not, we can feel at ease knowing that that is the direction that we are going, that we are evolving towards. You can fall into life knowing that that is happening. However, when you do decide to be on that path, going towards it, you do add to the quickening of that reality coming towards us. You basically fast track your own life and consciousness and the life and consciousness of those around you towards that goal, that shared goal. And you bring that goal down onto this earth so that it can share the information that it has of how to better our own living, how to improve our bodies, how to improve our minds, how to improve our diets, how to improve our relationships, how to improve our financial situations, how to improve our informational situations, how to improve our lives. And that is ultimately what yoga is aiming at doing. So thank you for giving me this chance to speak on the goal of yoga. I hope that you can take this information with you into your day, into your week, into your life, to integrate this as the powerful information that it can potentially be for you. And that if you enjoyed this information, you will write down in the comments what it was exactly that really spoke to you, what your goal for achieving that or helping us achieve that is. And if you remembered to write down your thoughts on it beforehand and after, that would be really great. And of course, subscribe. And thank you so much for taking this time. Namaste.